Will Facebook groups change anything for you? Will anyone buy Cisco's new Telepresence product for the living room? And Google TV is here, and I got to tell you, I think it's cool. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, October 6, 2010. Tech News Today is brought to you by MailRoute.info. MailRoute is a secure hosted service that provides enterprise-grade virus and spam filtering to companies of any size. Try it right now, absolutely free at MailRoute.info. Hello and welcome to Tech News Today. I am Becky Worley.
I'm Jason Howell.
You are Jason Howell.
Hey, whoa, yeah, I know. I've been out a lot. So you wouldn't expect me to jump in there, but there I am.
There you forgot. This is the first time I have ever met Jason Howell in person. But joining us for the show today is an old friend, David Spark, former Tech TV colleague, someone that I respect and I will abuse with love throughout this show. Can you handle it?
That's all I hope for.
All right. And
when she says old, I'm about 85.
That's
but I
right.
look beautiful because I wear oil of Olay.
Oh, well, David is of Spark Media Solutions, and you have the Spark Minute, your blog, and do a lot of fun stuff on there. And formerly of Cranky Geeks, we're glad to have you and your insight
Glad to be here.
This huge Tech News Today. Tom Merritt is in transit back from New York, and we decided instead of fighting the Skype gods, we were just going to wing it without him. So bear with us.
I look a lot better than Skype.
Yeah, we'll take you in
and
person.
Tom Merritt, I'll say.
We'll take you in person, bud. So the big, lots of events here in San Francisco today. CTIA is going on, and I don't know if it has to do with that or not, but lots of different news events happening, starting with Facebook. They called a news conference today, and they announced 3 things of interest to consumers. Number 1, Facebook is now going to allow you to download all of the information on Facebook, all of your status updates you've posted, your photos, your videos, photos that are other people's photos they posted, but where you're tagged, and they will give those to you in a zip file, and you can take it and do with it as you wish.
That is true. And this is interesting. As Mark Zuckerberg introduced this, he said, this is very important that you are able to do this, which is ironic, being that maybe a year and a half ago, Robert Scoble actually tried to scrape all his own data. They noticed that he was doing this, and they shut his account down as a result. So this is quite a 180 from that, claim. It's really important that you have your own data.
It's really important now.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that we've gotten spanked a few times.
I mean, and I think this is a great move in the right direction. We have to applaud their efforts. But is this reaction plus PR move? Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. They're playing the PR makeup game right now, hardcore. I mean, all across the board, they've been making all of these, attempts to try and clear their collective name in the name, in light of the privacy issues and all that. And of course, the movie. Exactly.
The thing is,
it's all PR.
The number of PR stunts they've done connected to this have been. The movie specifically.
The timing is suspicious. No,
not suspicious. They set it up. They orchestrated it. I think the most amazing was the really nice piece about Sheryl Sandberg in the New York Times and
$100 million to the New York school system, which they say Oprah said that you had to do it then. But it's interesting around the privacy issue because that segues into the next rollout of a product from Facebook that they announced. And Mark Zuckerberg said, a lot of people talk about this as a privacy problem, but I think it's more than that, aka it's not a privacy problem. It's an annoying other people problems. And he says, I want to post, hey, I had a great run this morning so that my really close friends will know what I'm up to, but I don't want to let all my work colleagues. So for this reason, they say they invented the groups. They've not invented it because there has always been groups on Facebook, but
lists.
Now
it's actually called lists.
Lists. It's more than that.
Well, it's more than that. In that the problem with the list is if you create a list of your running friends, it's only something that you created and only you have control over. You can't share it with me. And so theoretically, this is what I understand about groups because they actually didn't have the time to show it, which I thought was odd, being that this was the big thing that they were going to show. And the guy was about to show it, and he goes, "Oh, we don't have time for that." It was like Evel Knievel's about to jump these two giant fountains. Oh, we don't have time to show that to you right now. Let's move on to something less interesting.
The idea is that people can create, I think...
here's the idea. Okay, so we're from... we used to work at Tech TV. And we have a bunch of friends on Facebook at Tech TV. So I start to create a Tech TV group, and I added just a few people from it. But then you have a few people that you're friends with that also at Tech TV, and you add, and then somebody else and somebody else. And so what happens is all of a sudden this Tech TV group sort of metamorphosizes from all these people who work at Tech TV, and we're all sharing information that would be relevant, like, what did Becky do recently or whatnot. And that is the concept behind it, although they never showed it. But if you were there and had lunch, there were people to show demos of it.
Weird. They also announced a dashboard for privacy. They wanted to make the privacy settings easier. This was another part of their announcement. And,
another change to the privacy settings.
Yeah, and
the presentation of the privacy settings, they keep going with that.
Yeah,
but it was more ongoing because the idea with Facebook Connect is that you only have control over it the second you make the connect. Then you don't, like if you want to lose a connection, you really can't.
So it's an iterative process for Facebook, recognizing privacy issues, and I think that the groups function is going to play out over time. We're going to see the impact. It's one of those things, not unlike what they said in the movie. You don't know what it is. It's going to just evolve, and it'll take on a life of its own. Another big announcement here in the Silicon Valley area: Cisco unveiled their UMI product. UMI is how it's spelled.
No me. No, you. No, me.
Me. No, you, me. And it's a video conferencing product. So it's all about you and me, Jason.
By the way, they're going to have some advertisements of cute little kids going, you, me, you, me. And it's going to all make us throw up.
Now, think of Cisco's Telepresence product. And I think we have some video around this. That's
pretty cool.
Yeah. And the idea is that this will be a console plus a high-end camera, and what they say is that the camera dynamically adjusts to lighting conditions in the room, that it can handle different sized rooms for audio, and that it's going to create dedicated bandwidth on your internet connection to prioritize in whatever way it can the video quality, and it's going to all play through your HD TV. The Cisco Telepresence in offices, very powerful tool. They're trying to bring it to the home. Here's the problem. $600 price tag plus $25 a month fee. Anybody buying that for grandma?
All right, I'm going to defend this, all right, because we were talking about this, and yes, there's no doubt about it. Skype, free, and it's got pretty darn good quality, but let me tell you something. My own mother, who still has a hard time clicking the button on Skype, and to get something that's that quality, and she can watch them from the TV. By the way, I'm shooting all these videos of her grandson and putting them up online for her to watch. She won't watch on any of them. The only time she watches them is when I make a DVD of them and send it to her.
This is a grandma product. This is a young kids. This is aimed at kids under the age of 5 and their parents thinking, "Oh man, grandma's so far away. I got to connect them up." Maybe.
I'm telling you, in front of the TV, I think it will work, especially a distributed family. And can they do, I don't know, can they do a split screen? I'm assuming they could, where they have, different family members all over the place.
I don't know how many calls you can do at once, but the thing that really interested me about this is its interoperability. It works with Google Voice and Chat. So you don't have to just call to someone else who has the Cisco Telepresence or the UMI Telepresence. It also works with someone who just has a standard webcam, a computer.
Right, you can bring them in. But the whole thing about this is that the quality is amazing. But I guess to one degree, for it really to be valuable, you have to buy a unit and pay the monthly fee in every single
It's insane.
phone.
It's totally insane.
You know what? I take it back. That is the insane part of it. I didn't even put the math together on that.
Yeah, that's $1,200 just for the first year.
Just for me and Mom. Wow. And
you could fly her out 3 times for that amount.
I could hire someone to make DVDs and ship it to her.
And that's just for the kind of ability to see Mom or your kid or the grandkids on a big screen TV. Maybe Skype on a 28-inch monitor in your den is good enough.
And we did see
those people.
We did see Skype TV roll out in limited format at CES, but that hasn't really gained ground either. And that begs the bigger question, do people even want this? Yeah, you and I have small kids. The 3 of us have small kids, and we might want our parents to be involved. But really beyond that, I don't know if people really want this. Do you? If you're on a business
outside
trip,
of
do you call
immediate
your
family, no. Yeah. Although, here's the thing. People are so still hesitant to use video conferencing. I still try to get all my clients to do it. Let's do a video call together. I just left a video comment on some guy's blog, and he messaged me back, "You're the first person to leave a video comment." and I had video comments on my old blog, and I took it off because no one ever left one.
I see the tide turning on video, and we talked about this
a
little bit because I think what's happening is we're seeing mobile, we're seeing hardware makers, we're seeing apps, we're seeing now living room and the fight for the television, embracing the idea of video conferencing. It's not one player anymore. It's a lot of different forces pushing forward, and that leads to the next rollout that happened today, which was Logitech had a big product announcement around Google TV, and there was a camera as a part of that, but what we really saw was what the Logitech product is going to look like, and this is their Google TV version. So I think this might be the Sony one. I'm not sure, Jace. But,
is this the wrong one?
Yeah, sorry,
My
bud.
apologies.
Way to go, Jason.
It's he's a newbie. He's a newbie. Is this the official hazing I get to do?
I guess so. If this is as bad as it gets, it's not that bad.
Way to go, Howell. What, have you been out sick or something? What, have you never worked with me before?
That's right. I remember
Come on,
this
man. So I went to the Logitech briefing. I actually snuck in for a little pre-brief.
Name dropper. Way to go.
Come on, And I'm going to tell you what this is. Let's start at the beginning. This is a device that puts Google TV, the new Google TV interface, onto your existing television. And so the way it works is the Review is a set-top box that hooks up to the TV. You can see it sort of in the corner there. This, what we're looking at right now, is the Google TV user interface. And let me describe it to you. It's basically search that pulls content from YouTube, from websites, from your DVR if you're a Dish subscriber, and it also pulls up, you can also use it as a browser, pull up any of the websites that you might want to watch, picture-in-picture with live TV. And then the other part that I thought, and what they announced today, was not just this box that puts out full 1080p to your TV and takes in content from your DVR or from your cable box, but they showed off the remotes that will actually will rule all of your devices. And one of them, we were just looking at it, is a full-size wireless keyboard. It runs off of RF, so it's not line of sight. It has a touchpad, and so you can navigate with your finger as you're moving around the screen. It also has hard key buttons that represent controls for your TV. For
By the way,
your
no one
receiver.
ever uses those. You know that.
Yeah, right.
It's like F5. I mean, I know
I
that
hit
means
F5.
refresh.
To get you through the door.
Yeah, exactly. It's print screen. Sorry, print screen. It's definitely of the print screen ilk. And what I think is, the price tag is $300. It will be subsidized if you buy it with like a Dish TV subscription. And that's the box right there that we're looking at. It's just a small box that kind of looks
slick.
Yeah, it looks about the size of a router.
But you were talking, what is the ports on the back of this? You were talking about this earlier.
It has 2 USB. It has some, I don't know if it has audio, but it has obviously HDMI in and out. And here's the deal. When Steve Jobs was interviewed at the D8 conference and asked about Apple TV and about Apple's incursions into the TV world, he said the problem is, with a set-top box, it's a go-to-market problem. Consumers don't want to pay for boxes. They've been conditioned to think that they're subsidized by the cable providers and that they're not going to shell out $100 or $200 for them.
I actually, like 5 years ago, this whole argument, I realized that the cable providers, if they could break into your house and install a cable box, they would do it.
Yeah.
Because that box is essentially a port to drain money from you.
That's right. Here is the crack pipe.
Exactly.
Take the crack pipe now, and we'll talk about what we're going to put in that later, okay? But here's Logitech's philosophy, because I asked them about this specifically. I said, is anybody going to pay for a set-top box just to get the Google UI to be able to turn my TV into it all-in-one device? They said, we're selling a remote. They have their Harmony One remotes that start at $150. It's their most popular remote. They have cheaper ones, but that's the one that does it all. They go up to $250, $500. Everybody hates the fact that they have multiple remotes and that nothing works. This is a universal remote plus Google TV. Would you pay for that?
Yeah, I would. The whole thing is, the only thing that interests me about Google TV is that it is this interactive experience, which we were mentioning before, that Yahoo was talking about this 5 years ago. Microsoft 10 years ago even showed demos of it at CES. And I've been to a zillion of these digital living room things. And the bottom line is everything we've seen before has been too complicated. The average user can't do it. This could conceivably be the answer to that. But the idea of I can sit back, watch TV, and have this amazing keyboard remote, as you described, and interact with people, because we know, and everybody who's watching this now is probably of the type that sits on the couch with their laptop on their lap watching television. And so they interact that way, but now they could do it directly from the screen instead of the laptop.
I have about a 14-minute, 15-minute demo of the products up on the TWiT YouTube channel. And one of the things that I thought most compelling was you can run your TV off of your Android phone. And they say they're also going to have an iPhone app. So the fact that not only can you use a keyboard, you can also use Android devices. It seems like this starts to become more of a ubiquitous universe. Well,
here's an interesting, you mentioned the thing about the Android phone. So, when like MediaFlow, and we know that they've dumped, but when the early stories of video on the mobile phone came out, they found the overwhelming majority of the people watching video on the phone was in the home. And everyone's initial reaction was, that's stupid. Why are they watching a little screen? And no one put two and two together. They're watching it on the toilet. They're all watching on the toilet. And I'm telling you, all of this, and this is going to be huge. People want to watch TV on the toilet. A lot of people don't have TVs in their bathroom. Or, in fact, if they did, people would be like, what is that TV doing in the bathroom? And if they can watch television on the toilet, people will be happier than you can believe.
I think you've canned something there.
Oh, well, what they need to do. Okay, I was a little.
Yes. We also saw
a poop device, as someone in the chat room says.
I like that, but you can take it with you everywhere, just as long as you wash your hands afterwards. Sony accidentally leaked out their controller for the Google TV. On Nightline, Neil Karlinski had a great piece about Google TV, and somehow in the B-roll, Sony's controller got leaked. And let me tell you what it looks like. It looks like the controller for a PS3, old school, or maybe not a PS3, but an old school controller, just glued onto the bottom half of a Kindle.
No, even close, better than that. It's the top of a PS3 glued to the bottom of a P-Touch label printer.
Yes, a label printer, exactly.
That's what it looks like. Because it's
thing.
That thick. It's enormous.
That's awesome. Poor Sony. I mean, it's beige. It was not a compelling, everybody grabbed onto it like this is, and they're having their event to unveil their Google TV product. And again, they're going to build it into their TVs and then have a controller that comes with it. So they've accepted, hey, nobody's going to, we're not going to create a separate box. We got to build this into our technology and make it an added feature. So I don't know, that wasn't compelling. Now, news, as I mentioned, the CTIA has their industry forum in San Francisco this week.
And I will be there speaking tomorrow, in fact.
Yay. And so I wanted to just hit a little bit of news around this. So first up, HP has confirmed they're going to make a web OS phone by 2011. Really?
You know what? I would put that on the chart of who gives a crap. Seriously. I mean, is there you hear so much demand for when's the Verizon iPhone coming out, or when's this new Android phone coming out? I have not heard one peep of when's a web OS phone coming out. Man, I really want one. I have yet to meet that person.
I know.
And that person is probably the least liked person on the planet.
Well, you've got your RIM phones, you've got your Windows Phone 7. Is there even a space for a fifth player here? I don't know. I'm thinking. One thing we do know is that the Galaxy S has sold 5 million units. Samsung said that it sold 5 million Galaxy S smartphones since its June launch. And they really say this phone is flying for them. They say they want to reach, that's going to help Samsung's 2010 smartphone sales reach 25 million units, lifting it in 4th position in smartphone rankings behind Nokia, Research in Motion, and Apple. It's a good phone, and I mean, it's internationally. It
is a hot phone. I have yet to play with it, but I know Harry McCracken over at Technologizer spoke extremely highly of it too.
Motorola now saying that Verizon Wireless will sell its Droid Pro. This is the first device for business that's specifically based for business, that's aimed at business users, based on Android. Has a full QWERTY keyboard, runs Android 2.2. It has a 3.1-inch screen, which is on the small side. And that's because it has a full QWERTY keyboard that looks exactly like a BlackBerry's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at it,
So it's like you just stretch the screen of a BlackBerry is what it looks like, the phone.
This seems to be the theme of the day. Someone cut the bottom keys off of a BlackBerry and put it onto a shrunk-down Droid.
I have a Droid X phone, and and I was a big fan of the keyboards on the BlackBerry, and I thought, oh, there's no way I'm going to like an on-screen keyboard, but I really like the on-screen keyboard of the Droid X. I mean, it's pretty darn good.
I think that in order to...
And I can type pretty fast on it. Especially if you do it horizontal.
Used to, but
if you do it horizontal. And I've yet to move over to swipe, but everyone sort of rages
I was going to ask you that. But I think it's a barrier to entry for people who are Crackberry addicts. They just think, I can't live without a tactile keyboard.
Yeah, or they're just most comfortable that way because that's what they've always had since they've been.
But I was that person. And you know what? It's the two-finger typist, like we know, who usually sits over here.
Yeah, Leo.
But, finally learning how to type normally. You have to sort of break down. But you know what? I was one who loved the BlackBerry keyboard, moved over to this, and I'm pretty darn happy with it.
The one differential I'll say is that when you are putting in a lot of text, and if I'm writing a script out in the field, I dread having to do it on the virtual keyboard. I hate it.
Have you tried talking into the sucker?
I've used some dictation software, and I've used the...
No, but it's, on the Android...
I haven't used voice actions. I haven't used the Google voice actions for that stuff. I mean, I've done the call George Stephanopoulos, and it'll do the...
How often do you call him?
Well, that was the first thing that came to mind.
Did you actually call him?
It was the demo I did on set.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
Okay.
It was like that was the one time I used it. And I was so proud that it recognized Stephanopoulos. Although, I have to tell you, I did this once in the early days of Google voice recognition, and I was like, this is going to be so clever. I'm going to show them it's Stephanopoulos. And I was on remote, and we lost the signal right as the results were coming up. And Jimmy Kimmel grabbed it and showed a screenshot of Snuffleupagus as the result. And I was like, he replayed it. I was like, that's my claim to fame on Kimmel. Just shoot me now. Yeah. Let's see. What else have we got here? Verizon says its iPhone. Well, they don't say it. The Wall Street Journal says the iPhone for Verizon will be in production by the end of 2010.
So I'm sorry, have people been talking about this?
Oh yeah, have you not? There's some desire for
people don't like AT&T with the iPhone.
Let's clarify this for you, David. Yeah, and
there's a desire for another carrier, maybe one that doesn't drop calls, right?
This has to be the biggest question that I get from people, consumers about technology. Well, when's it coming to Verizon?
Well, no, I get the variety of some people will say it to me like, oh, yeah, it's definitely coming. Like, no, you don't know. Well, I read in this, nobody knows. Nobody knows. And you know what? If you really want, buy an Android phone with Verizon if you want that kind of coverage.
Well, let's face it. Is this like the 20th time that we've heard that Verizon is definitely for sure, no doubt about it, coming to Verizon?
Wah, wah. But the thing that kills me is that it's from the Wall Street Journal, that it's an unnamed source again.
Yeah, always. It's the same unnamed source. He's making a little cottage industry out of this.
It's a giant technical who's on first routine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, it's horrific. Microsoft, a researcher from Microsoft, saying that sick PCs that have viruses, should be banned from the internet.
They should be, just like we destroy horses, we should be killing PCs. And I think this is an excellent idea. Literally put bullets in them. Put them out of their misery, and I agree. And in fact, it should be the law. And I think the Gestapo should come in, break down people's doors, and if they've got a sick piece, take it away from them. So I've got no problem with this story.
You know what?
I am with Microsoft 100% here.
What surprises me about this is it's a guy from Microsoft saying this.
I think he's a little off the reservation on this one in terms of the corporate PR.
This is good.
I think after this article, he may be formerly from Microsoft.
Scott Charney is of Microsoft's trustworthy computing team, and his idea, and it's a valid idea, is to basically tackle botnets by quarantining any computers that come online and somehow, getting them awareness that they're spam zombies and what have you. But it definitely has raised the ire of those who say, maybe it shouldn't be Microsoft who's pointing this out to everyone. I'm just saying.
Well, at least, it's like the arsonist, I'll solve the problem that I'm causing.
A story coming out about Bitly and Owly, all of these .ly domains. And what's going on is that there's a risk that they could suddenly be taken away by the Libyan government. Ben Metcalf is a blogger who says his domain name, which is vb.ly, was seized by the domain registry and controlling body for the Libyan domain space. And that's because they say the content of his website was in violation of Libyan Islamic and Sharia law. Is this the danger of registering your domains in foreign?
Well, maybe countries that aren't run by Muammar Gaddafi. Maybe we shouldn't partner with businesses like that. They'd have, support terrorist nations. I mean, I don't know. I try to stay away from that. But I have, I should say I have used Bitly often.
I never even thought of it, the .ly. I mean,
my wife is the one who pointed it out to me, actually. I didn't realize that LY was Libya until a while ago, and I was already deep into using Bitly at the time.
Well, twit.tv, I don't know. We're going to have to go find out what the moral issues of the Tuvaluans are. I don't know. I think they.
I don't think they caused much ire.
I think they sold it. I think we're all safe. I want to thank today our sponsor. Tech News Today is brought to you by Mailroute at mailroute.info. Tom Johnson, this is a friend of Leo. He's run the company. He wrote Microsoft's hosted exchange services, FrontBridge, and then he moved on and said, I'm going to write the ultimate spam solution, not for an individual. It's for companies that host their own mail or people who have their own servers. So Tom signed up for it. Leo's used it for 6 years. And the way you do it is you go to mailroute.info. You sign up for 10% off. That discount is for the life of your account. It's not an introductory offer. And here's the caveat. You have to be able to change your own MX record. If you know what that means, this service is for you. So let me tell you what it does. In the last 12 months, Leo was sent over 3.7 million messages. I think at least 1 million from David Spark. And 3.6 million of those messages were spam, 96%. And Mailroute blocked all 96%.
That's why Leo won't respond to my emails.
You've been blacklisted, buddy. No false positives, 99.999% uptime for server processing. And here's what you do. You sign up right on the website, no long-term contract, month to month, $2 per user per month. Outbound service can be used for about 50 cents per user per month. If you're a small business, if you run your own server for family or friends, this can help a lot. So go check it out. It's mailroute.info, and we thank them for their sponsorship of Tech News Today. David, let's do a quick run through the stories that caught your attention today.
The first one is our good friend Gene Simmons of the band Kiss was at the MIPCOM conference, and he was just going off because Gene is a very entertaining guy, and he says, referring to people who, if you're a musician and people are downloading and stealing your music, sue them, take their homes, take their cars, and like he was reading a fable, an Aesop's fable to everybody. He was telling the story of the farmer and the chickens and the fox, and about how the fox just takes one egg and then he takes all the chickens and then he's got nothing and his whole home is destroyed. So don't let them just steal one song. Anyways, he just goes off, and pretty much, if Gene Simmons is talking about tech and he's going off, that's got to be a story, and we love it, and that's why we're telling you about it.
You know he's just way, way off. He's not quite taking the Radiohead approach of just give it away, let the people have it.
That is not Gene Simmons. He wants everything, and the notorious thing that he says, because he's branded literally everything. You can buy Kiss condoms and Kiss caskets. And his big
licensing.
His big joke is we get you coming and we get you going. Way to go, Gene.
And don't expect to get any free downloads.
So the story that I love is Engadget's Darren Murph just nabbed the Guinness World Record for the most blog posts ever written. And get ready for this. Here are the stats. 17,212 posts. And his word count, get ready for this, close to 3.4 million words. And that's War and Peace 6 times over. That's a lot of banging on the keyboard.
They did this study about how bloggers, even the ones that work at home, have more stress than people who commute to work for bad bosses, that they are just under so much immense pressure to produce. And it's unbelievable. And you read... did you read the TechCrunch article about how Michael Arrington works and how he's just desperately trying to revamp his life and get his health back, and that he just doesn't sleep, and that he just thinks about it.
Well, there was
It's
a story.
drug.
There was a story, maybe as long as 2 years ago, about because Malik got checked into the hospital for exhaustion, and there was a story in the New York Times about people like him and other bloggers.
Blogger fatigue.
Well, the reason is all of them, the Michael Arringtons, the Maliks, they're all forcing each other to do more and more and more and more. And it's like, I got to get another post. I got to get this out. I got to get, more readers, this. And so it's, in a way, the competition is good, but it's literally abusing their bodies at the same time.
That is crazy. And
we all know this. If we want to, we could work till we drop. It's physically possible to do that. Yeah. In the days of magazines and television, we only have so many pages to fill and so many hours to fill. But in the world of the online, it's infinite.
I remember when I first got a desktop computer in my apartment. I'd just gotten out of college, and I was working in a TV station. I had to put a sheet over it because it was a small apartment. So, where I watched TV and tried to relax, I could see my computer. And when I could see it, I thought about all the stuff I had to do for work.
We're all addictive. We're all addicted to the computer. We're constantly doing. I mean, every morning, I wake up, I pee, and I check my email.
And there you go back to your video on the can.
And my wife would like it if I get out of bed first.
Yeah,
it helps.
That's a good start, David Spark.
All right, a couple other quick stories. Kevin Rose just put out a survey to the Dig users about should Dig bring back the bury button, meaning, you can dig a story, say, hey, I really like it, or you can bury it saying, no, I don't really like it. And the whole point of the bury button was to say, hey, this is being digged inappropriately, this shouldn't be.
Right.
And it was an anti-thing. In their new version, they eliminated the bury button. Anyways, the interesting result was 69% of the people said, yeah, bring it back, we love it.
Well, and this goes in, there are two sides to this story. One, I think Dig's redesign has been really tough for them, and it hasn't had necessarily the result that they wanted. They saw traffic drop off, and I think they're really looking for user feedback to figure out how to take the best parts of the new design and bring in parts of the old design that people miss. And then the second issue is being negative in social environments and canonized by the site or the service. So everybody wants that dislike button on Facebook, but Facebook hasn't put it out.
Well, there is the unlike, which is not quoted an official one, but you can unlike it. There's ways to do that. But I've done this story a few times about whenever Facebook releases a new version and updates it, there's always this ire. People get really upset about it. Like, hey, I don't like the new version. And Mark Zuckerberg has said that people often don't react well to change, but you can bring change upon if you bring it in a slow way. And the thing is,
you force it in a slow way.
You force it in a slow way, exactly. But if people knew what they wanted, they would have built it anyway. You know what I mean? So you need the visionaries of a Mark Zuckerberg or a Steve Jobs to tell us what we want in a lot of cases. And that's what they're doing.
Well, we are going to take the wisdom of David Spark's stories and move into the news fuse.
Go for it.
Sure, Microsoft is suing Motorola over patent violations, but that shouldn't get in the way of partnering, right? Well, that's what Steve Ballmer said today in Germany. He said was, we are always excited to collaborate with pretty much anybody who wants to collaborate with us. Is that a promise or a threat? Motorola co-chief executive Sanjay Jha says he wants to take it as a promise. In an interview Tuesday at a technology conference, he said, I'm open to finding ways to work with Microsoft, but it has to be a compelling offer. But I mean, really, everybody's suing everybody in the mobile business these days. The Guardian has a great graphic of the Gordian knot of who's suing
I love this.
whom.
If everyone has to go check this out.
It's how would you describe this, David?
Well, the thing is, if you look in the very center, when we knew about mobile lawsuits, it was just Qualcomm and Nokia going back at each other, back and forth. And now it's completely fascinating how everybody's intertwined in this giant mess.
Microsoft sues Motorola, RIM sues Motorola, Nokia sues Motorola, Apple sues Nokia.
Nokia sues Apple. I mean, everything's back and forth.
Kodak sues Apple. HTC is sued by Apple and Microsoft. Oracle sues Google. I mean, it's
Oracle and Google are off on their own island together.
That is funny.
To anyone else.
That is funny. They aren't connected to anyone.
the bottom line is Nokia is
is a hub.
everybody's dog. They're either sending it out or getting. They're mostly sending it out.
No, they're mostly sending it.
Yep, they're taking the aggressive stance here. I'll text you from the plane. It could be a more common phrase coming soon. Inmarsat's Swift Broadband, in collaboration with On Air, will provide passengers on medium and long-haul flights with access to Wi-Fi, internet, and mobile telephony services. That could mean SMS text messages as well as voice and data service for GSM phones. Singapore Airlines expects to roll it out to planes in the first half of 2011.
By the way, I would like it to be an FAA rule that if somebody turns on their phone before the plane lands, you can punch them.
Really?
Real. I would like to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, you and that guy who pulled the slide out and took a couple beers, you can take your air rage.
It drives me crazy. They always do it so secretively, like they hold it under the table, like, oh, no one's going to see this. I can see it. I'm sitting right next to you.
If you're a fan of streaming movies on Netflix, you'll like this news. A new distribution deal with Sony in exchange for reduced access to DVDs. They'll also get lower fees and more rights to stream movies to your home. Spokesman Steve Swayze confirmed that Netflix and Sony have reached another 28-day arrangement. It's similar to the ones Netflix has reached with some other big studios. And this is good for consumers in the end because it creates an earlier window for streaming new releases. And finally, I think we're going to go right from there into the calendar. The Nokia N8, big mobile day today. We get news that the Nokia N8 is going to go on sale, general sale, October 22nd, online October 15th in their store, and that's later than the promised October 1st date. They had some pre-release shipments for those who ordered them in advance, but general sale October 22nd. And David, you wanted to mention a
Code Camp. Yeah, Code Camp. This is, if you're a developer, this event is awesome. I mean, it's 100% free. It's going on at Foothills College this weekend, the 9th and 10th of October, and that's in Los Altos, just north of San Jose. And I'll be there actually from one of my clients, Dice.com, shooting some videos there. But 198 sessions on coding. And so HTML5, Android, UI stuff, JavaScript, anything you can think about, it's there. Just do a search on Code Camp Silicon Valley and you'll see it. And you just need to register, but it's all free.
Excellent. Now we are going to have some of the voicemail. And let me set this up for you, David. We have a controversy brewing. I know we've had a lot of it this week, but I find it interesting. Zuckerberg.
This is undoubtedly the most important controversy of the week.
Right. Does Zuckerberg mean Sugar Castle or Sugar Mountain? And it's gotten to be a real smackdown between a lot of different people listening and watching.
By the way, both of those were nicknames I had in college.
And Sugar... No.
Hey, Sugar Mountain.
Oh, stop. So, the person who started this whole controversy just says, stop the insanity.
Yeah, this is Julian in Seattle. The guy with the original Zuckerberg translation. Please, let's stop the war. Let's all agree on this. The definition of mountain in German is Berg. You can look it up in any dictionary on Google's Translate. We all agree on sugar. Let's stop this madness. It was mainly meant as a joke. Anyway, I enjoy the show, and hopefully we can put this to rest.
So I think its explanation is funnier than the original joke.
Yeah, exactly.
There were smackdowns going. We had people coming up to the cottage and wrestling right outside the door. So Julian,
wrestling Leo without his pants.
For those of you who were not here in the pre-show, there was some streaking by the big boss. But yes,
that won't make it into the video.
Thank God.
By the way, everyone should ask their boss to drop their pants.
Yeah.
This is just basic advice we offer. By the way, if you really want that promotion, ask your boss to drop their pants.
Is there any HR leverage that I've gained here, or just a visual that's burned on the backside of my eyelids for life? And it's not the first time. That's the scary thing.
Larry Weinberg. He was the CEO of Tech TV.
Wow. Now we have one. We had a call, an email yesterday about a Canadian truck driver who notices that his iPhone jumps from carrier to carrier, and he gets pretty good reception when he crosses the U.S. border. And he thinks, hey, why don't you folks with the AT&T problems? Why doesn't AT&T just do that for you?
Hi, there was a emailer the other day who had an iPhone on Rogers and was curious about how or why it was jumping from one network to another as he crossed the border. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this or if you're familiar with it. It's kind of it's a newer concept. It's called roaming.
Silence.
Thanks a lot, smartass.
This is such a common geek thing. Hey, I don't know if you've heard of this. It's just something called a keyboard. It's just.
But there is some. We have the scorn for our anonymous caller who was scorning us and scorning our.
Let the whole thing of geeks is just to belittle each other till they feel like just minute.
We were just talking
each other.
We were just talking about that in This Week in Google. No geek on geek violence, but there is a point. Like, couldn't we just resolve the AT&T issues if we had some of the roaming agreements that would supposedly buoy their coverage? No?
Yeah, they'd be less likely to have people outraged when their service doesn't work the way they expect it to. It'd probably be good for their name.
You'd think. This is an email from Pete C. Tom, who's not here at all. That means you, David, and me and Jason. We're like the motley crew.
Thank you very much, Pete.
Yeah, Pete's thinking of you. I may not have all the details right, but I'll ask anyways. Today's Facebook announcement begs the question, once you become a member of a group, who controls its private, public attribute or attributes? Is there a single owner of the group, and can that person at a whim make private groups and private group activities public? All this Facebook privacy stuff is never quite obvious to me.
That is an excellent question. That's a really good question because they did talk about, they said all groups by default are private, and though you sort of have this social pressure, like if I invite you to a group and you weren't appropriate for the group, everyone will see that David Spark invited Becky.
And it's bad on you.
Bad on me, so it's not bad on Becky.
We were talking about this earlier, and MG Siegler invited Leo to a group while we were talking about it, and then Leo invited other people to the group, and he'd just become a member. So invites, it's sort of the spawn of Satan. It's like, well...
Right, I may only want this to be a private group, and I don't want, Leo
everybody,
in it
right.
necessarily.
So I'm not sure that this is maybe some more classic spin from Zuckerberg, saying that, this is a way to control your privacy, is to create these groups. Something does not sit right with me about these groups. Something is not as it seems.
Well, he did, understand what the problems are and something like this, and he's tested it. I don't know if he's tested it outside the office. It wasn't clear whether it's been tested outside the office, which is a pretty insular group when you speak about. But, we're going to see the sucker play out. And trust me, I'm sure there's going to be endless articles about this, about how to behave. And this will be tweet to the end of time. So I'm sure this is
just
not
the beginning.
Very, very tip of the iceberg.
Well, it's not the beginning of this show. It is the end. Tom Merritt will be back tomorrow. And I'm just really grateful, David, that you came and joined us.
Thank you for all the TWiT listeners and watchers for welcoming
Yep,
me
you
on
can
the show.
Contact him at DSpark at Twitter. I'm at BWorley. Jason Howell, thank you.
You bet. It's a pleasure. We did it.
And thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, you can call us, you can email us. Otherwise, Tech News Today is done.
It's out.
Woo! Holy cow. We did it.